Get set to discover the tips and techniques that will set your leadership career on fire and meet the success you are ready to enjoy. Let's build the momentum to fast-track your life and career success so that you enjoy faster promotions, higher salaries, better relationships and terrific results. So let's dive into the very first tip. So our first career fast-track tip is build strong relationships. One of the first things you want to do is to plan the way you move around your workplace on a regular basis. Make sure that you swing through HR or other centres of influence like the executive suite so that people know you. Get to know them personally, but don't become a pest. But you do want to know about people's hobbies, families, their likes and dislikes, and show that you care about them. You've probably heard the saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Whether you like it or not, many promotional decisions are made because of people's relationships, certainly not always just on merit. I'd love $1 for every time I've heard someone whine about the other person who got what they think should have been their role. They feel that the other person wasn't as good or as worthy or as sharp as they were, and yet that other person got the promotion. Why didn't I get it, is often the complaint. They, meaning the people who made the appointment, should know how good I am. Well, guess what, folks? Unfortunately, that's just victim thinking. Instead, what you need to know is you need to be building strong relationships with people who are in the circle of influence. Now, certainly as you're building those strong relationships, you don't want to be a weasel or a suck-up type, but simply understand that quite often the promotion is in the relationship. Now, there was a study conducted at Harvard on a freshman year that was coming in, and before these freshmen arrived, they tried to figure out on paper who would end up being best friends by looking at the people's backgrounds and interests and their cultural upbringing, their hobbies, etc. Now, what the researchers discovered was that rather than being driven by people's backgrounds, hobbies and interests, people's relationships ended up being formed more or largely due to how many dorm rooms apart they slept. Now, this study has huge implications for organisations because basically what it informs us is that people's relationships are built on the opportunity they have to interact with each other, on familiarity. It's not necessarily on what their likes and dislikes and interests are. What you need to take away from that to fast track your career is you need to get yourself known and make yourself useful. Don't force it though, and don't try to be the life of the party if that isn't your style. Simply be you. But swing by and navigate your way around the organisation so people know who you are. Right now you might be thinking, well, that's all well and good, but head office is located well across the country, or the people who make the promotion decisions are nowhere near me. Well, that's okay, you can still do it remotely. In this day of technology, there's really no excuses, because you've got access to things like instant messaging, internet, Twitter, Facebook. Many organisations are using these types of tools now to keep people connected. So make sure that if you've got those sort of tools available in your organisation, make sure that your presence on it is known and that you're connecting with people, not just presenting data, but building relationships. In fact, take a look at some of the more popular blogs and people who are on Twitter that have large followings. Generally, these are people who show their personality and character and build relationships. These are the people who share and interact as real people. And if you're looking towards the future and you've got your eye on a CEO role, one of the big things you need to understand is that the more senior you rise in an organisation, the more critical it becomes that you're able to get departments with sometimes conflicting goals or needs to work together cohesively. So start right now building those relationships with your colleagues, your peer group, not just people in your department, because the more senior you become in your organisation, the more critical those relationships will be with you when you're going to need it in the future. Now, a big lookout with this tip is obviously don't use it as a manipulative tactic. You actually have to genuinely care about people. So make sure that as you work your way around the organisation, getting to know people well, that you sincerely care about them and you do want to know about what's going on and build those relationships, not just to be manipulative. People will see through that, and I promise you it will cost you dearly. So, your first fast track action. Create a plan to get yourself around the organisation on a regular basis, visiting other departments and centres of influence such as the HR, so that you can get to know people and build relationships with them. Make sure you do this in as natural a way as you can, and remember, you don't want to come across as false or forced, but you do want to have a presence. Our second tip is to know people personally. So how well do you know the people around you? Now, this is going to seem a bit strange, but I'm actually going to ask you to pause the video in a moment before we go any further. I want you to grab a piece of paper and write down the names of 3 people you interact with regularly at work. It could be people who report to you, people you report to, or maybe your peers. And for each person, I'd like you to write down 2 things this person is interested in outside of work, 2 things this person is currently finding challenging or frustrating, 2 career hopes or dreams this person has, and the type of work that this person really gets a buzz from doing, and the types of tasks and activities that can cause them heartache. So go ahead, pause it now, write the answers to those questions, and then when you're ready, click on the play button again. How did you go? Did you find it easy or challenging? If it was easy, then congratulations. You've already mastered one of the breakthrough leadership practices that will help you fast-track your career. By getting to know people personally, you are building a very important bank account. It's what I like to call the trust bank account. However, if you found it tough, then this is going to be a very valuable tip for you. You see, people won't go out of their way to get the rest of this career enhancing tip and the other 24 tips that are available to you in the Fast Track Your Leadership Career video series. All you need to do is swing by align-lead-inspire.com/fast track. Each week for the next 11 weeks, you'll get a link to the next video in your inbox, jam-packed with sharp, punchy and easy to apply career and life enhancing tips and techniques so you can get on with skyrocketing your success. Go ahead, sign up today. I'm out of here now, so you can get on with fast tracking your career by applying the very first tip that you've just learned.